Hajime, welcome back to Comic-Jutsu. I'm JT McRoberts, and joining me once again is special guest commentator Phil K.
Hey! We're here with Sin City.
Frank Miller's Sin City, the one and only. We're looking at the trade paperback collection of Hard Goodbye, which was the version of which I read the story in its entirety, but not my first exposure to Sin City. When I was off at school, one of the guys there had several issues of the Dark Horse Presents that it was being serialized in, and I wound up buying this, the big finale, because at the time, I didn't know where to find Sin City, and I wasn't super familiar with specialty shops and the notion of Dark Horse and this and that. So I didn't really get into it until it was almost over, but happy to say this is my copy. I bought it off the shelf from the store in Winston-Salem. Still have it to this day, and it was a very unusual buy for me at the time because almost everything I bought had to exclusively be superheroes. If it didn't have a costume or aliens or magic and elves or something, I didn't buy it. I just passed up on it. I wasn't a big fan of noir and whatnot, but just the work in this is so striking. You can't help but be pulled into it. Plus, the brutal realism, which is part and parcel of film noir, which is what Sin City pulls heavily from. Almost sounded like Sim City, which does not pull quite so heavily from film noir.
The video game?
Yeah, the video game, Sim City. Say that 3 times fast. So, what we're going to look at specifically today is the fight between Marv and Kevin. Kevin, the silent assassin, who we see in little bits and flashes leading up to this issue. But this issue starts out with a purpose because Marv knows he has to take this psychopath, or is he a sociopath? Actually, you could probably answer that better. He has to take this guy out, and he knows he has to do it in nasty fashion. This is just great storytelling. You can follow the story just all the way through, looking at the artwork.
Simply put, psychopaths are kind of born. Simple way, born that way. Sociopaths is learned. Psychopaths have thing going on with the brain.
He's probably a psychopath then.
Right.
Okay. Very good. Okay. And yep, he's like, this is what I need. This is all great build up to this. In this particular issue, we're not going to talk so much about technique, but we are going to talk a little bit about strategy. And it is in the art of war that Sun Tzu says you have to know your enemy. So this whole fight, before Marv goes into it, he knows he's in trouble because this is set up early in the story because Marv is with Goldie when she's killed, and Kevin is the one that does it. And Marv is like, there's nobody can sneak up on me like that. He's like, this guy is something else. If he snuck in and killed somebody, yes, he is like a ninja plus. He's like the white ninja.
He rolled high on his stealth check, boy.
Very high, man. Nat 20. But so Marv knows this guy is something else, and he knows he's got certain capabilities, and Marv needs to deal with those. So he has a plan. And I love this. This is his getting prepared montage here. But just fantastic artwork from Frank Miller, man. This whole series. I love Sin City. I love that he's actually bringing Sin City back finally. I had been a bit dismayed because he hadn't been doing more Sin City stories in recent years.
So Marv is doing his Batman thing, prepping for him?
Yep. He is prepping for him. Whoops, I accidentally scooted over a page. So here we go. This is where it starts. So he flushes him out, throws in a grenade, soften him up like always. He set up traps on the outside for Kevin to run into. So we're seeing strategy, all the scene strategy. Because if Marv just runs in and tries to fight him hand to hand, he may end up losing. He may come out on the losing end. This guy is fast. This guy is deadly.
Was Marv ex-military?
I don't know if he was or not. I don't know.
If they ever said.
I don't remember that ever being explained. There
Well,
was not Dwight, but the third guy. He was definitely ex-military. So
with the combat boots, barbed wire. He's
right.
just like he's prepping, makes you think he's like, I know how to set traps up.
I think Marv is just a survivor. He's just one of those guys that's learned his whole life just by surviving and doing things. Flush him out with a grenade. Good stuff. Tries to soften him up with the gun, but again, he's not trying to take him out with the gun. He's just trying to keep him moving. Maybe expend a little bit of energy. It's great stuff here. Come on, boy, don't be scared.
Go get some.
The brutalism in this story is what makes it work. I mean, you don't have to have any kind of fancy knowledge of techniques or fighting or anything, but just making things look solid. I mean, giving the characters weight and a physics to it. Even though there are a lot of lines in that coat, everything has a weight to it. Nice little, he tricks him almost like a matador here,
right.
Has him diving at his coat so Marv can get close to him. But this is great. It makes you wonder, like, what is he doing with these handcuffs? Puts one on his own wrist. Yeah, and his hatchet. That's quite a sight there. Love this. You can tell
almost,
Miller loves his nerves, his nerve attacks, man.
I can't move that with my hand ever again.
Yep. He's giving this guy little claws, like saber-tooth type claws. So good stuff. Nice kicking, a lot of acrobatics here from Kevin. Good stuff. I love that Kevin, you have this juxtaposition of, this almost bookwormish appearance,
right.
And he's got like the reverse Charlie Brown sweater on,
Still has his glasses on.
He's got his little glasses on. Where he looks like a baby-faced assassin, but then when he goes into action, this guy is relentless.
You see how brutal the strikes are. Just the Marv, he can take it.
It's one of the things we don't see a lot in comics is really the result.
Black eyes.
Yeah, swollen. Swollen facial features. Yeah, just oozing blood. The crimson mask. If this was in color, nice kick to the face. This is like a
groin strike.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell where the kick is going. If it's a kick or a knee, I guess it's supposed to be a groin kick. Yeah. And here, this almost looks like he elbows him in the solar plexus or something. Going for those nerve clusters again. Nerve clusters. You can find that on your Comic-Jutsu Super Bingo card. And also Frank Miller.
But he wanted to get him in close so he could grapple him.
Good stuff. Miller probably is responsible for the first person narration taking over the boxes. Because up until he was doing this, everything they were third person. Yeah, where it would say, well, Marv was doing this, or now you're in Sin City, or something like that. But all this, he switches it to first person, and instead of having those word balloons, we see Marv's.
Even here, thoughts. Like wiggling like a snake, stronger than I thought. So he's strong.
Yeah, and it's good use of the narration here to add to what you're seeing. So it looks like Marv is like trying to bear hug him,
right?
And he adds wriggling like a snake. It could have been worse. It could have been, I try to grab him, but he's too quick. But no, right. He puts that purple prose poetry to work. Wriggling like a snake, stronger than I thought. He can swim anywhere. He's stronger than a fish. He can fly through the air.
Stronger than a whale. Swim anywhere. Submariner. Prince of the sea.
So there you go. So he says, that's all I wanted. Don't need my eyes. I wanted you to get close. Kevin keeps just hacking him up, going for weak spots, hurting him, gouging eyes, cutting pressure points until Marv can get a hold of him and snaps that handcuff into place. Gotcha, you bastard. Let's see you hop around now. And he does. I love that he gets one more off. He's like, whack. Gets a few more off, and you can see him pulling at the handcuffs. This is just such great storytelling. A lesser storyteller wouldn't give you this little this
aspect,
little
him
beat,
trying to pull away.
Yeah, that little beat right in there to show that he's trapped. Comes back with another kick. Just great kicking technique from Kevin.
Almost like he survived. And he hits him one shot. Boom. But he couldn't touch him. He couldn't get his hands on him before that. So you need to get him in close.
And hold him in one place.
Give him the way he could grapple. One shot. Knocked him out.
Good old right hook, Sunday punch, the Molly Whopper. The right there, Fred, whatever you want to call it. Lines him up and lays him out. I just love the minimalism of Miller's work here. It's just
I like how when he
so
finally ends the
powerful.
fight, how everything's in black, but when he ends it, it's all white.
Yeah, that's a good transition of emotional values there. He builds it up here. Black. It just opens up. It releases all that tension. Yeah.
I'm glad. Even here, you can see it. He's like, almost like, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah. Just great storytelling. Great stuff.
He never screams.
And Marv has to torture him. This Kevin, it was a great villain. I mean, he goes in my books as a top villain for stories.
Jeez.
Such a psychopath. Yeah, and he
both.
Yeah.
Who can do that to another person? What can he do?
Yeah, right. The sociopath.
Psychopath, sociopath.
Yep, there they are.
Sociopaths a lot of times can have like a family and love them and go out and be a serial killer.
He never screams. Great stuff. Holding the head. And Marv has to go finish the story. Get his revenge for Goldie.
Frank Miller at his best.
Yep. Frank Miller at his peak. He goes and confronts the deacon. He might have just been a priest, but so the police come and get him.
He has that kind of mob face look you see in movies, like
he does,
mob,
yeah.
Meet the mob boss.
Miller, like any good Catholic, resents the Catholic Church a lot. We were all brainwashed by them, but great stuff here. Just fantastic storytelling.
Great art.
Completely wonderful.
Great artist.
Bought this off the shelf, valued it. It's one that I come back to a lot because it's almost, if you didn't know there were any other segments of this, you could pick this issue up and you've got this story. I mean, you can pick up some kind of story from it. It almost starts in media res where you can go like, oh, well, somebody was killed. They're coming for revenge, and you can follow it, and we'd be remiss not to at least give some lip service to the film adaptation by
Frank Miller's Sin City.
Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller, because it's probably the most faithful superhero adaptation ever. I mean, ever.
Yeah. I mean, literally said, here, my panel.
Yeah.
What did you think about when you watched it?
What did I think about when I watched it? Well, when I watched it, I just thought about, this is following the story. There's another panel from the book. I mean, everything was just, there's another panel. I recognize that panel. I recognize this action. I know what's happening next. There was never no, this is missing, that's missing. Oh, there was why does Nancy not have her boobs out? She's supposed to be a stripper. But I can let that go. That's okay.
I think when I watched it, it's been a while since I've seen it. But I liked it, but it was almost like they made it almost, like I saw it in the theater. I went to the theater and watched it. But almost like they had it almost jokey. And I always saw like Frank, the graphic novel was serious. There's comedy in it.
Okay.
Like when someone...
I can see what you're saying.
Kicking through the cars.
That's Rodriguez. Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He has that kind of a lighthearted side to everything he does, even when he's doing something dark and noirish or even horror.
Audience laughing at certain points. Like, no, that's not what Sin City was. Sin City was like gritty and, but I just thought that was odd when it's been a long time since I watched it.
That's a good point. I didn't have a problem with it, though. I mean, I went with it all the way through. Yeah, I mean, panels almost painstakingly recreated.
Right.
That whole fight sequence that we saw where he fights Elijah Wood, not Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It's actually Frodo. So they're interchangeable, apparently.
Frodo. Sir Frodo. Master Frodo.
That fight plays out exactly the same. I like that there's a little bit more dynamism added to the film version even, but it plays out exactly the same, all the same beats. Just great stuff all the way through. Now the second one was just kind of forgettable.
I never saw the second one.
Never. Okay, so you completely forgot.
I heard
Okay.
it got so bad reviews. I don't think I ever watch it.
It's not bad. You can watch it.
Is that the one he did himself?
I think Rodriguez still directed.
Maybe that one. Did he do it?
No, The Spirit is what you're thinking of.
Okay,
that's
okay.
the one that's bad that you should never watch, that we should never speak of.
That's the one I never watched.
We have to genuflect because we mentioned it.
Well, that was based on That Yellow Bastard, right?
No, that Yellow Bastard is in this one. It is A Dame to Kill For, I believe.
Okay, I did watch that one.
Yeah.
That's a good story, too.
Yeah, because it has
Dame to Kill For.
that green woman as the female lead in that, and she's just phenomenal.
Eva Green?
Yeah, Eva Green. Yep. So anyway, so there you go. So classic fight, no costumes involved, not technically heavy at all, but keeps the physics real, pushes the brutalism. The pushing brutality on a fight scene is definitely one way you can lend a lot of gravitas to it, just like making them dynamic, keeping them moving. But keeping the physics real, keeping the brutality there, seeing the blood, the crimson mask, all that stuff really carries a lot of emotional weight to it. Definitely one of the best. Absolute classic.
I agree.
All right. Phil K., where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on, can't call it Twitter, so we call it X. At Fatjitsu, Fatjitsu.
And eventually on Threads at the same, though he's not there yet. But
not yet. I haven't joined Threads yet.
Of course, you can find JT McRoberts on X and Threads and Instagram and all those other interweb type places. And of course, we will always be right here in the Comic Book Dojo, breaking down your favorite fighters, your favorite fight scenes, and talking comics. Till next time, denizens.
My
Thank you.